back into that Sean podcast. And once again, I am the Big Ush, and he is the Cat Daddy. Cat Daddy. And my best Bond villain voice, which is terrible. What is on your mind?
I will take me my martini shaken, not stirred.
What have you got stirred? What would happen?
Wait, what?
Well, if you got your martini stirred, what would happen?
Different ways to kill you with my pinky.
Oh, that sounds dangerous. Dangerous.
It is.
Well, we're going to get into this. It's a fantasy football episode. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about new faces in new places. And to start and kick it off, we got a little bit of news. Not a lot of news, just a little bit of news. Cat Daddy's going to give us the kind of not so big news, and we'll discuss that new face and new place, and then we'll talk about the bigger news and that new face and that new place. So let's go with the first one. Who's a new face in a new place?
Wait,
Oh, he's still there. So
I'm still there.
New place and new place. Who we got?
All right. Now, for the big one, are you talking about Nikhil Harry?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
No. We wasn't talking about that.
All right. Well, I already said that one, so we'll start with that one.
Yeah.
So the New England Patriots finally move on from Nikhil Harry. They've traded him to the Chicago Bears in exchange for...
Was it seventh?
Originally, it was reported as a 2024 fourth rounder, but the Patriots you know what? We don't want that much value out of him. We want to embarrass him. We want him to feel worse than he already feels, so we're going to take the worst draft pick you could offer us. And the Bears okay, well, how about our seventh rounder
you think that's
in
really
20... No, I'm just being facetious. But the Bears give up a seventh rounder in 2024. That's the worst draft pick that could be offered.
And here's the thing, though. Honestly, for the Bears' purpose, this is a no-brainer. Let's be honest, this is a no-brainer. You giving up a seventh round pick for a guy who was a former first round pick. Yeah, he hasn't produced as of yet, but let's look at how this went. So first there was Tom Brady, who doesn't like rookie wide receivers at all. Then they brought in a rookie quarterback, and they brought in an influx of overpaid talent that they had to get on the field. And you know something, a lot of times in that preseason, he didn't look bad. The problem is, do you think he's too far gone, or do you think he can have a career resurgence with the Bears?
Considering the Bears' wide receiver weapons, they have Darnell Mooney. I'm not sure who number 2 is. It very well could be Nikhil Harry, because you've got Byron Pringle, you have Beluse Jones Jr. Nikhil Harry has a legitimate shot to be that number 2 wide receiver. We talk about him being a former first-round pick. Should he have been a first-round pick? Yeah, probably shouldn't have been. It was one of those Bill Belichick moves where he took a guy higher than he should have, because it happens almost every season for him. So, in the draft way, it shows that Bill Belichick's not really the greatest GM, but when you get a draft pick in return for Nikhil Harry, it kind of shows you're a pretty good GM to get that move. But back to Harry in Chicago, he's got some size to him, right?
Yes, he does.
I don't have his measurements. That could be, if he's got, what is he listed? He's 6'4". All right. That could work well opposite of Darnell Mooney.
Again, the kid's got ability. He's got size. The question is he too far gone?
I don't think he's too far gone. I don't. for Chicago purposes, he's definitely not too far gone. I think he could win that number 2 job. I don't know. I won't be drafting him in fantasy.
Unless
if I'm drafting
very late.
30th rounds in a 16-20 team league, it would have to be really deep, because that Chicago offense, you look at and you think, all right, well, how much confidence do we have in Chicago's offense? What do they do to surround Justin Fields with more talent? Do they give him better protection?
Ew.
Is he going to have the same turnstile type offensive line he had last year?
Yes.
So your number 1 target is going to be Darnell Mooney when you have time. Your number 1 target when you don't have time is going to be Cole Kmet. Everybody else after that is going to be fighting for targets, and I think that fact is going to limit the upside of any other potential Bear receiver. So I don't. Fantasy purposes, he's got something. Could he give you a stream week or 2? Yeah. Do I know?
Late round flyer at best.
Yes. What he has on his side is size and his age. He's only 24 years old. He is still younger than Beluse Jones Jr.
All right, moving
Let that sink in.
To the big news. What's this big news? Someone said there's big news. What's this big news that happened?
Yeah, big news. Baker Mayfield, after months of trying to acquire a starting quarterback, the Carolina Panthers found their guy.
Months?
Maybe. You know, they were talking about it. Yeah, that's true. That is true. And to think, in more ways than one, Deshaun Watson is directly tied to this, because Carolina Panthers were going after Deshaun Watson. Then we got traded to Cleveland. Now, being in Cleveland, the whole Baker Mayfield drama with the Browns organization made Baker expendable. And now he became Carolina's biggest speculated target, and he's finally out of Cleveland.
All right, so first stupid thing about this, in my opinion, yes, I'm calling it stupid. There's going to be a competition between Baker Mayfield and the other quarterbacks on the roster. You are idiots. There is no competition.
Now, I didn't see any direct quotes, but did they just say there's going to be competition, or did they say specifically Baker will be in competition? Because if Matt Rule, David Tepper, Scott Fitterer, if any of them come out and say there's going to be quarterback competition, that doesn't mean for the number 1 job. That means Sam Darnold might be fighting with PJ Walker and Matt Corral for the number 2 job, which would still technically make it an accurate statement.
They also said they have no plans to trade Sam Darnold.
Well,
Let's
that's
be
just
honest
coach
here, people.
speak.
Let's be honest here, people. You have no ability to trade Sam Darnold. Stop it.
If they can get a 2024 7th rounder for Sam Darnold, that would be a win.
Now, the question is, what does this do for, let's say, DJ Chark or Christian McCaffrey or and we'll have to talk about Robbie Anderson.
I bet Robbie Anderson is so excited that Baker Mayfield is in Carolina.
Retraction. So
absolutely.
So what does it do for the other guys, though?
I think Christian McCaffrey's usage would be the same no matter who's quarterback. He's going to run the ball inside, outside. He's going to get short, intermediate target, and he would have gotten that from any quarterback. Could Baker offer a little bit more accuracy? I think so.
Absolutely.
Bigger difference, and by bigger I mean slight improvement for DJ Moore, because we know DJ Moore is going to get 1,100 yards, and previously he's been stuck on 4 touchdowns per year. He hasn't been able to eclipse that, or hasn't gotten much higher than that. I think that changes this year, because I believe that Baker Mayfield will be able to deliver a better downfield ball than Teddy Bridgewater did, than Sam Darnold did,
Cam Newton,
than an aging Cam Newton did, than a PJ Walker did, than a Matt Corral could at this point in time. I think there's more upside for DJ Moore. So Robbie Anderson, I think, will enjoy a little uptick in that productivity too, whether he likes it or not.
Do you think he's going to have to, I mean, has he done some sort of, apology gift probably?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Let me see if I can find anything while you talk about Baker's impact.
You won't find that. I'm just speculating. I'd make him do it. If I'm Baker, I'm like, yeah, you need to get me some of them disco shoes you saw in that commercial I had. Put some damn rhinestones on that fool.
Well, given Baker's immaturity issue with Cleveland's, I think it would be wise for him to take the high road in this scenario.
F that. One more question before we jump into some other players. Does this change any outlook for Carolina?
I know the last time we were talking about the fool's gold, teams going from worst to first, and I'd picked the New York Giants for the NFC.
I picked the Detroit Lions. I'd probably pick the Panthers right now.
For me, it doesn't change mine. I'd still go with the Giants. The Panthers have a better chance than the Lions do, and than the Seahawks do, absolutely.
And the Giants.
Yeah, I'm still not ready to go there yet.
And then the Giants.
Not yet.
Not yet. Don't have a good chance at all. Anyways, we'll see what happens with it. Speaking of, we're going to jump into some of these free agents. I'm dealing out the free agents to get Cat Daddy's opinion, and he's going to deal out the trades to get my opinion. And we might, vice versa. But this is fantasy edition of New Faces, and we're going to start off with somebody I know Cat Daddy's so excited to talk about. The number one signing in terms of fantasy is Christian Kirk going from the Arizona Cardinals to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Does this move the needle at all?
Now, for Christian Kirk purposes, I need you to define move the needle.
Does his fantasy production go up, down, or stay stagnant?
All right.
That is what we're talking about here.
I know Christian Kirk is real life. The signing was horrible. Right? Gotta start there. Horrible signing. You're giving him way too much money. Fantasy purposes, let's see. Last year, he put up a career high 77 receptions, career high 982 yards, and he put up 5 touchdowns. Given that I think Trevor Lawrence can have a breakout this season, I think somebody has to be on the receiving end of it, literally, pun intended. But I think he may be able to eclipse his numbers from last year. He may be able to exceed 1,000 yards through the air. May be able to.
I think there's going to be a surprise number one in Jacksonville.
Might be. Is he going to live up to the money he was paid? No. He's not going to do that well.
But you think he's going to be better for fantasy purposes? Because that's what we're talking about.
I know. I still hate that signing, so I'm going to get off that soapbox.
All right, next up, Allen Robinson going from Chicago to the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, I think that's a huge victory for Robinson. I think that's a great situation for him to be in.
Uptick in production here.
Oh, uptick for sure. Yeah, absolutely. He's going from playing with Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields in a horribly led Matt Nagy offense to a Sean McVay-led offense that has Matthew Stafford as a quarterback and the ability to support 2 wide receivers for fantasy purposes. And you have Cooper Kupp on the opposite side who's going to draw like quadruple team. So Allen Robinson's going to be a little bit more open than he was in Chicago. I think it'd be a huge bounce back for him.
A few others coming. We have Marquez Valdez-Scantling going from Green Bay to Kansas City.
I don't think his value changes that much.
So stagnant.
He was the big play receiver for Green Bay, but he never had the consistent usage game by game. And I think he's going to do pretty similar in Kansas City because you know that your number one receiving option is going to be Travis Kelce. Tyreek Hill is gone, but you also brought in Juju Smith-Schuster, who may be ahead of MVS. And then you brought in the rookie Sky Moore, who I think will eventually slide into one of those top 3 wide receiver roles and command more targets as the season goes on. So MVS, I believe, is stagnant.
Next up, I know you like this guy, Russell Gage.
Russell Gage showed out pretty well last season after Calvin Ridley was gone from the team, and it was just Pitt and Gage out there toward the end of the season, even with Matt Ryan. Gage was putting up pretty productive fantasy numbers, and now you put him in an offense led by Tom Brady, and you have Mike Evans to draw attention away. You're going to be probably the number 2 wide receiver to start the season because you're not expecting Chris Godwin back anytime soon. We talked before that Antonio Brown's targets are gone. Rob Gronkowski's targets are gone. I don't anticipate Tampa Bay bringing in any other pass-catching veteran, at least wide receiver, that's going to really command many targets. I think it could be a really good season for Russell Gage because we know Tom Brady likes to spread the ball around.
So I got 2 more here. I've got Zay Jones going from the Las Vegas Raiders to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, let's see. Last season with the Raiders, he put up 47 receptions, 546 yards, 1 touchdown. What wide receiver is Zay Jones going to be? Because you have Christian Kirk as number 1. You're probably going to have Marvin Jones as your number 2.
I think Zay Jones is going to be number 2. I really do.
No. He'll be top 3-ish. But, I mean, Jamal Agnew did pretty well last year when given the opportunity. I don't think they're going to give him an extended look, but I don't feel good about Zay Jones. What's the last one?
Sammy Watkins went from the Baltimore Ravens to the Green Bay Packers.
He sure did. Oh man, I so desperately want for Sammy Watkins to do well.
And then I've got
2
quarterbacks. I got 2 or 3 quarterbacks for you, but how do you feel about Sammy Watkins?
I like the veteran addition. I mean, last year he had 27 catches, a little less than 400 yards, a touchdown. So I think he's going to be able to exceed those numbers this season. But you're looking at his career, and he played with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City for a couple of years, and he only got above 50 receptions one time, only above 600 yards one time. Most touchdowns in a season was 3. And then last year with Lamar, he just had that one season with Baltimore, and Lamar wasn't even there the whole time. I want to say that he's going to be able to exceed the numbers, but I also have no idea what that Green Bay wide receiver rotation is going to look like. I anticipate Allen Lazard being number 1 because he's worked with Aaron before and he's trusted by Aaron. Number 2, it could be Sammy Watkins because we know it takes a while for rookie wide receivers to earn the trust from Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Randall Cobb can be a consistent number 2 wide receiver at this point in his career. He's more
number 3
for the veteran leadership. And then you have Amari Rodgers, who's been stepping up. But if Aaron Rodgers wanted Sammy Watkins in Green Bay, then I want to say that he's going to be the number 2 target, but I have nothing to back that up besides Aaron Rodgers wanted him, and we have no idea how that's going to.
And Aaron, you trust.
Yeah.
All right, 2 quarterbacks here for you. Ready?
Let's go.
Marcus Mariota going from Las Vegas to Atlanta.
Oh man, when was the last time Mariota started a game? Did he start one last year?
No.
No. Oh no, it's been a while since 2019. His last season with Tennessee.
Yep.
Is the last time that he started a game. For fantasy purposes, he's definitely not in wide receiver 1 territory.
You mean quarterback, but that's fair.
Oh yeah, quarterback. Sorry, he's not in quarterback 1 territory.
What about those legs, man? What about those legs?
The leg. All right, let's look at his rushing stats. Hold on, let's look at those rushing stats. All right, those legs. He has not rushed for more than 400 yards in any season in the pros. His most was 357 back in 2018. He has the ability to extend plays and pick up yards on the ground, which is viable for fantasy purposes, but I wouldn't trust him as even a quarterback 2.
Right.
Unless you're in some real deep league, super flex, 2 quarterback league. I will try and fight somebody off of waivers to pick him up if he starts doing well.
All right, next up we have Mitchell Trubisky going from Buffalo to Pittsburgh.
I hope that year in Buffalo is good for him, with Brian Daboll learning from him, playing behind Josh Allen. I hope it was good. Hope he learned a lot.
In Chicago.
I mean, in Chicago, Trubisky made a Pro Bowl, took the Bears to the playoffs twice, was it?
Twice. And the Bear fans still hate him. I
know. I would have Trubisky pretty similar to Mariota right now. I would feel better about Trubisky if Pittsburgh didn't spend a first-round draft pick on Kenny Pickett.
I don't think
I'd feel a lot better.
All right.
Okay.
Let's move on. Let's hear about some of these trades, and I will give my opinion.
All right. Russell Wilson going from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos.
Especially, it doesn't really pin on here, but I think he's going to light up regardless, but especially if Jerry Jeudy, nothing happens to him, if he just sticks in, even if something happens and it's small, if he has the plethora of all those weapons, yeah, he's going to go buck wild.
All right. How about one of the players who got sent the opposite direction? Not Drew Lock, but Noah Fant going from Denver to Seattle.
I'm thinking he's going to fall off a cliff. Even though, now note, if this trade that I hear is potentially in the works, I'm going to upgrade Noah Fant because I'm hearing that Seattle's kicking the tires on Jimmy Garoppolo. They must not like what they've been seeing from Drew Lock. But in the meantime, with what he has right now, he's going to fall off a cliff.
All right. Amari Cooper going from Dallas to Cleveland.
Honestly, here's the thing. I already have my doubts on Cooper having a good season. One, even if it is Deshaun Watson, he has not played football in over a year. Over a year, people. I mean, who knows what he's going to be like. But it's possible he will not play football this year, period. even if he plays, it's probably not going to be until mid-season. Jacoby Brissett is not the guy. Cooper is going to have a horrendous year. Hands down, it's just what it is.
Whoa, didn't the Cleveland Browns also just sign Josh Dobbs?
You better go sit down somewhere. Take that nonsense outside.
All right, I'll take that nonsense outside. I'll bring you some other nonsense. The Indianapolis Colts trading Carson Wentz to the Washington football team.
Number one, Wentz's numbers will stay stagnant because he'll do enough to look like he's competent early on, then he'll fall off a cliff. I do think Terry McLaurin will not have the same numbers. I think his numbers will go down. I think his numbers will suffer with Carson Wentz at the helm. Personally, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, it's funny. Carson Wentz, the numbers by themselves don't look too bad, but you watch the game closely. And that's what it matters. But watching the game closely isn't for fantasy purposes. So let's get into some good ones now. Some good ones. We have the Green Bay Packers sending Devonta Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders.
All right, so this is going to surprise you. I think he's going to have a slight dip. Not a big dip, a slight dip. Because quarterback does matter, but I still think he's going to have a lot of the same volume being there with Derek Carr. Derek Carr likes to steer in on people. I know Hunter Renfro's there, but I do think that Adams is still going to have a lot of production. He's going to have a lot of targets.
I agree with most of that. And Devonta Adams had a lot of productivity out of the slot for Green Bay working with Aaron Rodgers. When you're looking at that Raiders offense, you're looking at the slot. That was a position that was manned by Hunter Renfrow. You even had Darren Waller playing that big slot receiver. And now you have Devonta Adams who can also play slot. I think success in that Raiders offense, especially with Josh McDaniels coming over, is going to be who primarily plays out of the slots.
Also, you look at it's a get the ball in your hands quickly type offense.
Yep, I think you might be higher on Devonta than I am this season.
Just slightly.
But next, the Kansas City Chiefs sending Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins.
All right, so here's the thing. This is not a knock on Tua. It's not a knock on even Tyreek Hill, even though you guys know that I don't like him for other reasons. I do think he's going to have a massive dip in production. And it's not because I don't think Tua can't get him the ball. I think that Miami's going to have a concentration on being a running team. That's the toolage of Mike McDaniels. That's where he came from, is a running style offense. They signed like 6 running backs for a reason. And I mean, yes, where Tyreek Hill will get his numbers and so will Jalen Waddle, but at the same time, they also signed Cedric Wilson. There's and then there's Mike Gesicki. There's a lot of mouths to feed, and this offense is going to be more of a ball control type offense. So I see his numbers dipping.
Yeah, along with what you said, I have Tyreek Hill a little bit further down my wide receiver rankings than ADP than most other rankings, because you're not going to see Tyreek Hill get those bomb touchdowns where Patrick Mahomes is running around the backfield for 10 seconds trying to find an open receiver, chucks it down, Hill happens to be open, and then just takes the rest of the way to the end zone. You're not going to get those with Tua. Tua is going to be that accurate.
That being said, his PPR might go up.
PPR receptions could go up, but you're looking at potentially yardage coming down and touchdowns coming down.
Possibly. So, I don't know if touchdowns really will go down because they might get to the goal line and pull some, Deebo Samuel, let's give him a running play type nonsense.
But then he has to split those with Jalen Waddle too, because they're kind of similar in that way, where they're both pretty quick. But
all right,
that's enough for Tyreek Hill for now. So got a couple more for you. Do we want to talk about Deshaun Watson?
No.
All right. We have the Atlanta Falcons sending Matt Ryan to the Indianapolis Colts. What does he do?
Stagnant. No.
You think?
No. I think he goes up just a bit because of that running game. Jonathan Taylor will help him out. He is Michael Pittman, and they just drafted Alec Pierce. We'll see if any of the wide receivers on the roster can do anything. But again, I think Matt Ryan's in the twilight right now.
I think I'm a little higher on Matt Ryan than you are. I mean, he's definitely not quarterback one territory, but I think going to the Colts, they have a better offensive line. Yeah. They have a better offensive line, so I think you'll have more time to throw. And last year, who was he throwing to? A rookie tight ends in Kyle Pitts. He was throwing to Russell Gage. He had Calvin Ridley for a cup of coffee.
What has Michael Pittman proven?
Who's the best quarterback that Michael Pittman's played with?
Phil Rivers.
All right. A Phillip Rivers, who I think was even more in the twilight of his career than Matt Ryan is.
Agreed.
And so you have Matt Ryan, who has Jonathan Taylor to be that rushing threat. You have Naeem Hines, who could be the backfield receiving threat. And we know that Matt Ryan has a lot of success throwing to running backs over the years in Atlanta. He's got Pittman. They got Alec Pierce.
You are higher.
Yeah, I'm higher.
All right. I think he needs Alec Pierce to come along to actually really see something, because Pittman is not that guy who's just going to win all of his matchups.
And I think that's where Mo Alley Cox will come in, at least in the beginning of the season.
Or the other guy.
Jelani Woods. Yeah.
But,
so, moving on. We'll stay in the AFC South, though. We have the Los Angeles Rams trading Robert Woods to the Tennessee Titans.
I do see Robert Woods having an uptick because it has to happen. There's a rookie wide receiver on the opposite side there. the people are going to be just gearing for Derrick Henry. They're thinking, wait, no Julio Jones, no A.J. Brown. I don't care who you throw into. I'm going to stop this guy. So it's going to be Robert Woods or bust, to be honest. Treylon Burks is going to take a little bit, especially if you believe the whole conditioning issue.
There's still time before the season. I think that'll get resolved. I mean, hearing the Treylon Burks conditioning, it might be slightly concerning at first, but it's almost like, what was the news we heard last year about Jamar Chase? We heard, he couldn't catch NFL balls. This might be the 2022 version of
that. But you can fix drops easier than you can fix conditioning.
Yeah, I know. That one's slightly concerning, but he's got plenty of time to get back into shape.
But Robert Woods will still have to play a major part.
Well, Robert Woods also has to show he's fully clear from the ACL tear. True. So he's got that too. So, right. I mean, really what we're saying is we don't anticipate Austin Hooper being a threat at tight ends.
No, we do not.
So, all right, got three more for you.
All right.
We have the Baltimore Ravens sending Marquise Hollywood Brown to the Arizona Cardinals for a first-round draft pick. Sorry, Marquise Brown and a third-round draft pick to Arizona for a first round.
Stagnant.
Even with DeAndre Hopkins expected to miss the first 6 weeks of the year. Stagnant. Oh. All right. I might be slightly higher on Marquise Brown.
Well, what did he do in Baltimore when he was the number one guy? With nothing. I mean, he did enough, but I mean, he did a bit, but not overly a bit, because he's a one-trick pony. He really is. He's not an amazing route runner. He's not that great with the ball in his hands making people miss. He is a downfield threat. Kyler does not go downfield as much as you think. Rondale, Rondale, what's his name? Rondale Moore, in my opinion, should be more valuable than Marquise Brown. That's my thoughts.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that one. Let's see. Last year, now this includes games without Lamar. So it was, Tyler Huntley and who else started? Yeah, it doesn't matter. All right. He ended with 91 receptions, 1,008 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Stagnant. You will have something similar to that this coming year.
Yeah, I didn't realize he actually put up those kind of numbers last year. So I think he'll be stagnant, but I still think I'm a little bit higher on him than you are. All right. Two more. We have the Tennessee Titans saying, you know what? We got Robert Woods. We no longer need A.J. Brown. Let's just ship him off to Philadelphia.
I think he's going to dip. I do. I think, not by a lot, but I don't think he's going to have the same numbers. He's got way more talent around. Yes. No, actually, I'm going to go back to stagnant. Because Philadelphia runs the ball less, but there's still more mouths to feed around him.
Yeah, and I think that was what I had when we were talking about our wide receivers and potential busts. I had A.J. Brown on that list because he's got to compete with Devonta Smith. He's got to compete with Dallas Goedert. He's got to compete with Jalen Hurts.
He's got to compete with the running backs.
Yeah.
And they get thrown the ball too.
All right. And then I thought I had one more. I'll give you one more. The Miami Dolphins trading Devontae Parker to the New England Patriots. I know you're excited for that one.
Stagnant. In theory, he should be better because he should be the number one receiver there. Problem is, will he stay healthy? Second, can Mac Jones get him the ball?
Problem is Bill Belichick's offense.
There's that. So, and who's the offensive coordinator? Yikes.
Bill Belichick. Let's be clear on that one. It's Bill Belichick.
All right, so don't draft Devontae Parker is the answer.
Nope. Fight for him on waivers if you need to.
All right, that's all she wrote this week, folks. Hope you enjoyed the show, and hopefully you're having a good summer. Anything else to add, Cat Daddy?
That about sums it up. I'm excited to talk about running backs next week.
In training camps.
So that'll be fun. Yeah.
All right. That's all she wrote, folks.